Hi, everybody, and welcome to our program today. We are going to be talking about how to go about choosing the right footwear based on your physical activity. My name's Marlene. I'm a certified personal trainer and a health coach. Yeah, and so thank you for joining. I have a chat box open, and I'll try to keep that open throughout the program. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to pop it in the chat box. So when we talk about, let me get over here, footwear and why it's so important, we need to talk about our feet. The humble foot, they carry us throughout our life, but they really are a complex structure. It's hard to appreciate how complex the structure of the foot is, containing 26 bones, 33 different joints, 20 muscles that originate in the foot and insert into the foot, and then another 13 muscles from your lower leg that insert into a foot. So a lot going on down there. And the arch of our foot, which is really a phenomenal natural phenomenon, the arch acts like a spring. It literally absorbs the impact of walking, running, jumping, and then stores and releases that energy to help propel us forward. So there's a lot of going on that we kind of don't think about as we move throughout the day. And as I said, the foot itself, it's really a remarkable feat of natural engineering. And as a fitness coach, I cannot overstate the importance of your feet in daily life and in athletic performance. They're the foundation of every movement we make. They support our body weight. They allow us to walk, jump, run, balance. In daily life, healthy feet enable us to perform all these tasks with ease and comfort. In athletics, the role of our feet become even more critical as they are, again, responsible for absorbing that impact. They provide us with stability. They help propel us forward. So proper foot mechanics and health, foot health are really fundamental to maximizing your performance and preventing injuries. And proper footwear is fundamental to proper foot health. So that's why it's such an important thing when we talk about activity specific footwear. And there are a lot of choices out there. You go into a shoe store and there's just a lot to see and a lot to think about. So, we want to talk a little bit about what's the difference and why is it so important? So when we're talking about footwear designed for specific activities, whether it's running, walking, hiking, court sports, different things, the footwear is designed in ways to optimize your performance by providing the right support for what you're doing, the traction for what you're doing, and the cushioning for different activities. Proper footwear can minimize the risk of injury by reducing the amount of stress that you're putting on your joints, on your muscles. Correct footwear can, beyond enhancing your overall comfort during the physical activity, it prevents the discomfort and pain that can actually hinder not only your performance, but also your motivation to continue an activity. We all know what it's like when you're wearing shoes that are really hurting you and you're trying to get through a walk or an active adventure. So proper footwear promotes foot health by offering providing the biomechanical alignment so that your feet and your ankles, your knees, all the way up your kinetic chain is in alignment. And that can help us reduce the risk of a lot of musculoskeletal problems that can develop. And when your feet feel good, you can exercise longer, better, and faster. So proper footwear for your variety of activities is really, really an important thing. Here we go. So, beyond overall discomfort, though, there are also significant risks involved when you wear inappropriate footwear during physical activity, just from a safety perspective. But beyond that, shoes that don't fit well or that aren't right for your activity can cause friction, so blisters and calluses. Lack of proper support can increase your risk of having sprains, strains, or other acute injuries, particularly when you're doing any kind of activity that involves a lot of either lateral or side to side movement or high impact. Wearing improper footwear can lead to long-term health issues, such as joint issues in your ankles, your knees, your hips. And that's because you don't have that proper alignment or uneven weight distribution during activity. And over time, these things can really lead to chronic pain and arthritis, even. Incorrect footwear contributes to other chronic conditions like plantar fasciitis. Anybody who's ever had that knows how painful that can be. Achilles tendonitis, lower back pain. For example, if you don't have proper arch support, it can exacerbate either flat feet or high arches, and that can lead to a lot of chronic pain and discomfort. So shoes that are not designed for this specific activity can impede your performance as well, whether because of pain or discomfort or instability, or just the fact that they're not uh, doing what you need them to do. They're not gripping the surface well, or the fit is not good, so you're sloshing around in them, or they're too tight, so you're unable to really perform for longer. So, an inadequate footwear can also result in quicker onset of fatigue, and because your body is literally working harder to compensate for the lack of support. So the correct shoe is important for a lot of reasons, both for reducing the risk of injury and also enhancing performance. And there are a lot of different shoes out there. I think running shoes are one of the places where people really have a lot of questions. And if you are a runner, you probably know exactly how important it is to have shoes that can really take you the distance, and how hard it is to really increase your running distance or speeds with the wrong footwear. So when we talk about running shoes particularly, they're designed to provide support, cushioning, stability, and some of the key characteristics that you will find in running shoes. So midsole cushioning. Running shoes will typically feature substantial cushioning in the midsole, and that helps to absorb that impact and reduce stress on the joints. And they'll use materials like gel insert or something called EVA, ethylene vinyl acetate. So something with some substance in the midsole. Heel cushioning. Running shoes will frequently have an enhanced heel cushioning to help you absorb the initial impact when your foot hits the ground. Really important for heel strikers if you run and strike with your heel. And they're also designed to keep that heel in place and reduce slippage as you're running. In terms of support and stability, different running shoes offer varying levels of arch support to accommodate different foot types. So if you have a high arch or a flat foot or pronate or supinate, and these things we'll talk a little bit more about later, but based on your particular foot structure, the support and stability varies in different shoes. Fit and comfort wise, running shoes, you want to make sure that they have a really roomy toe box so that your toes can splay out naturally, and that helps to prevent blisters and black toes. So, a lot of people, if they run long distance, half marathons, often at the end of that, their toenails really suffer. But you can kind of try to minimize that by having a really good roomy toe box. They usually will measure it by like one thumb distance between the end of your toes and the end of the shoes. The upper materials of running shoes should be breathable, offer breathability, using materials like mesh, to promote airflow and to keep your feet cool and dry while you're running. And that helps to prevent not only overheating, but reduces the risk of developing blisters. Overall, running shoes will be a fairly lightweight design because you don't want to be adding extra weight to the load of running, but that helps to reduce your energy cost of running and helps to enhance your speed and your performance. The soles of running shoes are typically made of pretty durable rubber, to provide both traction and withstand wear and tear of the different surfaces that you might run on. Some running shoes even have specific patterns on the sole for different terrains like road running or trail running. Trail running, you'd want to have a different pattern so that you have more traction. Um, Reflective elements are really important, but particularly if you run early in the morning or in the evenings, you want to make sure people can see you. So a lot of running shoes will have reflective materials on them. They're bright, often bright colored. And forefoot flexibility. Running shoes should be flexible in the forefoot, so that you can get that natural and efficient, like toe off bending. And when you go into a different running stores, there are a lot of really great brands out there that have slightly different structural elements, and you also have different types of running shoes based on what kind of running you do. Road, as we mentioned, road shoes and trail shoes, probably similar in structure, but might be different in the sole so that you can make sure that you have traction. And then if you're into, racing, track and field, racing flats are a whole different kind of running shoe. They're much lighter. They have less support and keeps them much lighter and less cushioning, but they provide a really fast feel. So running shoes are one of those things. If you are a runner, you probably have very specific requirements and you know what you like to run in. If you are just starting running, I highly recommend, don't just take your old tennies out of the closet and start running in them. Just, really have a good look at what's out there and find something that's really going to work for you. Similar to running shoes, walking shoes are also designed to provide comfort, support, durability. They have a lot of the same features as running shoes: breathability, the roomy toe box, good traction and durability. And a lot of people can use running shoes for walking. I always use running shoes when I walk. I like the feel of them on my foot. However, you wouldn't really want to be using a walking shoe, specific walking shoe, to run in, because that's not advised, because there are some distinct differences. Walking shoes generally have a little less cushioning compared to running shoes because there's less impact on the feet and joints when you're walking than when you're running. The heel of a walking shoe can be a little bit more beveled and rounded, which encourages a smooth heel to toe transition, a little different than a running shoe. Walking shoes tend to be a bit more flexible in the forefoot area that allows the foot to really roll from heel to toe, heel to toe. The sole of a walking shoe is typically designed to contact the ground throughout the entire stride. You're not really pushing off. And so it provides more stability and comfort for longer periods of walking. Walking shoes are often even lighter than running shoes. And then many walking shoes are also designed to accommodate custom orthotics or insoles for your own personalized support and comfort. So if you have issues with foot dysfunction and you have custom orthotics, you want to look for a shoe that can accommodate that. So that's some of the differences between walking shoes and running shoes. And again, probably okay to walk in running shoes, but not necessarily great to run in walking shoes. And then there's a whole selection of shoes called cross trainers. And cross training shoes are really designed to support a variety of physical activities. Might include gym workouts, fitness classes, different sports. They're usually a little bit more versatile and they're durable, so they can handle the demands of different kinds of movements. Generally fine to use for most activities. But if you're participating in a particular activity, say, you're not just doing a little jog here and there while you're in a boot camp or something, but you're actually running, or you're doing a specific activity all the time, you probably want to look into a specific shoe for that activity. But if just a standard pair of shoes that you want to use, and you might do a little of this and a little of that, probably less than a couple hours a week of any particular activity, you can probably get away with a cross trainer. The design of a cross trainer really balances the need for support, stability, and flexibility. So the shoes will usually provide a lateral support, so side to side movements. And that's really important for quick changes in direction, sports like aerobics or court sports. They have a firm heel that can stabilize the heel and help to improve foot alignment. There's usually moderate cushioning to give you enough shock absorption without really compromising the stability. In terms of impact protection, though they're not as heavily cushioned as a running shoe, a cross trainer will have a sufficient impact protection for short bursts of a run or jumping activities, things that you might do, as I mentioned, like in a fitness class. Forefoot flexibility, the flex grooves in the forefoot usually allow you to have natural movement, foot movement during like forward things such as running or jumping. The midfoot area would generally be designed to be stable but still flexible enough to handle multi-directional movements. In terms of the sole of a cross trainer will feature a non-slip pattern that can provide good traction for a variety of surfaces like gym floors or outdoor courts. Cross trainers should fit snugly to provide you with the stability and support. And a lot of times you'll see cross trainers, they might have like an adjustable strap or a lacing system that, ensures a really secure fit. And again, breathable materials so that your feet stay cool and dry throughout your activity. So cross train is a great shoe to have in your fitness footwear arsenal for multiple activities that you might want to do. But again, if you're doing something, if you're playing court sports or something a lot, over a few hours a week or something, then you might want to look into specific shoes. And court shoes are really interesting. While cross trainers can be used for some court sports, specific footwear is designed to handle like the unique movements and surfaces that different court sports actually require. Basketball, for instance, basketball shoes often have a high top design, and that's to provide maximum ankle support. It helps to prevent the sprains during like those quick lateral movements and jumps. They'll feature substantial cushioning, particularly in the heel, midsole cushioning, and to absorb the impact of that jumping and running. Technologies like air or gel cushion is common, Nike Air, the whole bit, where they literally have like air in there to absorb some of the jumping impact. The outsoles are usually made from a very durable rubber with a herringbone or hexagonal pattern that provides really good grip on an indoor court and allows for those really quick pivots and sprints. A broad, flat sole is usually part of the shoe to enable stability during the lateral movements and sudden stops. So basketball shoes, designed quite differently, even the types that are not high tops, as you see in the ones on the photo here, they do have usually some kind of additional support around the ankle as well. Tennis shoes are another court shoe. They're designed with reinforced sides for that lateral movement that you have during tennis. Outsole and the toe are built to withstand like the abrasion from quick stops and starts and sliding on hard courts. And interesting, different sole patterns are used for different court surfaces. For example, a herringbone pattern on the sole would be good for clay courts, while hard courts might require a more grippy pattern. Tennis shoes are usually low profile so that the player is kind of close to the ground, and that enhances stability and control. And now pickleball, being the crazy popular sport that it is, there's new pickleball, specific pickleball shoes out there. And like tennis shoes, they offer that lateral support, also adequate cushioning to absorb that impact from, the running on the hard surface and any jumping you might do. The sole is designed for a good grip on both indoor and outdoor courts. They're built sturdy to endure the constant movement and friction against the court surfaces, and generally lightweight so that you can, have quick movements. They're not going to bog you down with heavy weight. But in general, lots of different court shoes. There are specific shoes for racquetball, for tennis, for pickleball, for volleyball. Pretty much any sport out there that you do, there's specific shoes for. And beyond court shoes, there are shoes, for other sports activities like wrestling and different activities like that. So again, you can, if you're just casually doing a sport here and there, you probably could get away with a cross trainer. But if you are involved in a sport on a regular basis, it's really a good idea to look into what shoe is specific to that, not only for the sport but also for what surface you're playing that sport on, because that can change it. But court shoes, based on the specific demands of the sport and the specific surface you're playing on, having the right shoe can significantly improve your performance, your comfort, and really help you prevent injury in that sport. Hiking shoes are another whole category. Hiking footwear is a little different, and you definitely want to, particularly if you're hiking on rugged terrain, have the right footwear, because you do not want to be slipping and hurting yourself. There's a lot of potential for injury there. Hiking footwear is designed to provide support, durability, protection for different terrains and conditions. Some of the key characteristics for hiking, particularly in boots, you'll have a high top design. Hiking boots often are designed to provide a lot of ankle support and prevent those strains or sprains on uneven surfaces. Hiking shoes and boots usually have a stiff collar around the ankle for support and stability. Hiking shoes and boots are generally made from really durable materials like leather or high quality synthetic fabric to withstand the rough terrain and abrasive conditions. They usually have reinforced toe caps to protect your toes from rocks and roots and other obstacles. Um, Many hiking boots and shoes will include a water-resistant upper to repel water and or a waterproof membrane inside, like Gore-Tex, to keep your feet dry. Traction is hugely important on hiking footwear. It will usually always have a pretty aggressive outsole, pretty deep treads to prevent you from slipping and to provide really good grip on a variety of surfaces like mud or rock or loose dirt. The outsoles are usually made from a really high quality rubber for better traction. They'll have a stiff midsole to provide a really stable base, and might even include like shanks or rock plates for added underfoot protection. Cushioned insoles are great to provide extra comfort and to absorb some of the shock. You might have additional padding in the tongue and around the collar to help you prevent chafing, because you're moving, you're moving over uneven surfaces, so your feet are really shifting quite a bit. And usually some kind of an advanced lacing system where you really make sure that you can lace and maintain a nice snug lace to prevent slipping, blisters, things like that. And usually you'll find that they have some method to keep them breathable. So hiking, again, one of those important things. You don't want to wear a sneaker with no support and very little traction on the bottom if you're doing an uphill hike. You might get up the hill okay, but coming down, you need traction as well. So you want to make sure, if you're going out hiking, especially if it's, off trail hiking, that you have appropriate footwear for that to maintain safety. And then there's lots of specialty footwear, as we mentioned, different sports, pretty much every sport out there has its own specific style of footwear. Like many activities can be done in cross training. You can go to the gym in cross trainers. If you're riding bike casually, you can ride them in cross trainers maybe. But if you're doing a sport competitively or really frequently, the specific footwear is recommended. So cycling, for instance, if you're a really avid cycler, you most likely have some kind of a clip-in system. So you need a specific shoe to fit that clip-in system. really important because that actually enhances your pedal stroke because you're able to pull up as well as push down. So, that's why you'll see a lot of cyclists with clip-in systems, and that's a pretty sturdy shoe that you're really secure in, so that your whole body is working together to get you the maximum pedal stroke. Mountain biking shoes usually have a really, you won't necessarily clip in on those because you want to be able to move quickly, but you'll have a rugged outer sole and a reinforced toe and heel to protect your feet if you're out doing mountain biking. There are specific weightlifting shoes. If you are into powerlifting or really heavy weightlifting shoes are designed to enhance your performance. They have kind of non-compressible soles because you're adding a lot of weight on there. So that helps to provide a stable or solid base. A lot of times those are made from a really hard plastic. There will also be a low heel to improve your squat depth and maintain your proper posture so you can get really good flexion in your ankle. So durability for the high stress and the repeated impact. And on the bottom of this photo here, there's a whole other category of athletic shoes that have become pretty popular with some athletes, and it's really all about the minimalist shoe or barefoot kind of shoe. There's a lot of runners out there who swear by this barefoot running. They're designed to mimic really the natural shape and the mechanics of your foot, and they provide minimal interference with the natural movement. Typically, they'll have a very thin sole, little or no arch support, a really wide toe box, or even individual toe sleeves to allow your toes to splay out naturally. Well, often made from like a lightweight, flexible material so that you can really feel the ground underneath you, so you can feel your toes grabbing and your feet moving against the surface. The concept with this type of footwear is that it allows for more natural movement, that it can help strengthen muscles, tendons, ligaments in your feet and legs, and overall better proprioception, meaning you can feel the surface and your body's neuromuscular signaling can feel the surface. There's a lot of risk involved, particularly if you transition too quickly into this, because most of us are wearing pretty solid shoes with bases and support. So you really want to be careful transitioning into that. Do that slowly so that you don't develop things like plantar fasciitis or Achilles tendonitis, fractures, things like that. But barefoot sneakers or barefoot uh, gear just will offer you less protection against rough or uneven surfaces. um, so no matter what your sport or what particular shoe, the most important thing really is finding the right fit. And as a fitness instructor, I really recommend visiting a specialty athletic store when you buy your athletic shoes. These retailers offer a lot of advantages that can improve your overall foot health and your performance and your comfort. Surprisingly, research actually indicates that a significant portion of the population wears shoes that do not fit. Up to 65% have the wrong size on, and about 30% of the population are actually wearing shoes that are like a full size too small. And ill-fitting shoes can lead to like a ton of foot problems. So when you visit a specialty athletic store, you not only can see a lot of different things, but you'll get the right fit and the right style shoe for your thing. These people are usually trained to measure properly and to help you identify what you need for your particular foot, in assessing your specific needs. Some tips when you are going to try on shoes is you want to be wearing the kind of socks that you normally wear during your activity, because socks make a difference. You want to try on a variety of styles and brands because they all fit differently. You want to walk around the store a little bit and really like move side to side, recreate some of the motions that you might do in the activity that you're buying these shoes for. And trying on shoes later in the day or the evening is often recommended because that's when our feet are generally a little bit larger. And make sure you try both shoes and move in both shoes. A lot of stores are now offering gait analysis. They use advanced technologies like cameras or specific treadmills where they'll see your gait and they can help you identify any abnormalities like pronation where you maybe drop in at your arches. You might have a flat arch, or supination where you won't wear out the outside edges of your shoes. So having a gait analysis is really great in order to kind of find the best shoe for you for your activity. So I highly recommend that. And taking care of your feet, just prioritizing foot care, not only by wearing the appropriate footwear, the right size, but by addressing foot issues and giving your feet a little bit of love. Rolling a tennis ball at the end of the day, even if you weren't doing athletics, but just wearing a dress shoe all day at work, giving your foot a little attention. I find rolling the bottoms of your foot is really helpful. So, we want to keep our feet happy feet, happy life. So prioritize foot care, wear the appropriate footwear, address your foot issues promptly, choose the right size, make sure that you get measured to have the correct size. Regularly assess your footwear needs and replace. Running shoes, usually every 300 to 500 miles of running, or 3 to 6 months, depending how often you run. Walking shoes, 5 to say 750 miles on them, or up to 6 months. You want to replace. Cross trainers can last maybe about 6 months, but if you have shoes that you've been in for 5 years and you wear them all the time, they're probably not helping you at this point. You want to watch for those signs of wear. The sole is compressed in the middle. The sole is worn down. You are starting to feel more pain when you go out and you exercise or do your activity. So those are some of the things that you want to look for in your footwear as you go along. So that is the end of my presentation, but I'm happy to take any questions or comments. I have a chat box open, so if anybody has any questions. I'm always curious, is anybody doing minimalist shoes out there? Knee issues, running shoe, the best for general walking. So Julie, that would do, because I'm dealing with the knee issues right now. And I always like my running shoe. They just feel good to me, but that really depends on your specific foot biomechanics. I know for me, I use a high stability running shoe because I pronate. I have very flat feet and I tend to drop in. So that puts a lot of pressure on the internal part of my knee as well as the outside of your hip. If you supinate and you tend to walk on the outside edges of your feet, that might create a lot of issue in your hips. So again, it's really a question of having a good analysis done by somebody who knows, gait mechanics, and then taking a recommendation and trying different things to see what works best for you. I know a lot of people really love Hocus. My orthopedic doctor had recommended them, and I've tried them. The problem I have is that where the laces start always tends to hit me in a place where it creates chafing. So even though that shoe is a great shoe, it didn't work for me based on my particular foot structure. So yeah, but running shoes for walking, I happen to like them. I think they offer a lot of the same support as walking shoes, but some people prefer a walking shoe. You're welcome. Any other questions from anybody? So I know too, the pickleball thing, I started a little pickleball a while back, and it was recommended to definitely get a court shoe for pickleball because I was just wearing a sneaker, and there were a couple times when I felt a little slip. So again, if you're just starting a new sport, maybe your cross trainer's okay when you first start, but if you're really leaning into a sport, definitely want to think about the right shoe for that surface so that you're not slipping around and potentially injuring yourself.